Welcome to Rising Goddess Radio. I'm your hostess, Michelle Torrance. I created Rising Goddess Radio to be a space where we dive deep into our spiritual, emotional, and physical bodies. We're getting real and connecting with ourselves in the most intimate ways. We'll be talking all things sacred sexual, relationship building, and womb healing. We'll be learning how to connect with our bodies through learning the language it speaks, how to use our sexual and sensual energies to create, manifest, and heal our lives. This show is about healing the chaotic feminine and toxic masculine within to create a world that responds to the divine and healthy energy you chose to tune in, tap in, and turn on. We will learn from amazing humans who take time and share their wisdom and sacred healing magic, rising humans who are here in this world to be healers, teachers, guides, priestesses, warriors, and shamans. All divine sisters and brothers in rising. We'll get witchy, sassy, sexy, and saucy. We're going to talk all things that align us with our true nature and authentic selves and create a community that expands with the ascension and growth of each of us. So grab some green juice, light some cannabis, get your blankets, or sit by the pool because we are about to rise up another level together. Catch you on the inside, dolls. Hello, my beautiful rising humans. Welcome to this next episode of Rising Goddess Radio. Today, we are talking about the importance of sex, sexual healing, sexual alchemy, spiritual guidance, religious deconditioning, social deprogramming. Basically, the Rising Goddess movement. That's what this episode is about. And there's an announcement that I'm going to be announcing during this episode. So it's just a solo cast. It's just you and me. And me and you. I got Outcast in my head now. Yo mama and yo cousin too. I'm in a water challenge today. I have a private group for Rising Goddesses only. That is for those of us who are consistently working through our physical health and nutrition and keeping ourselves committed and disciplined in an area that supports our overall growth and flow. And so I put a water challenge out there. So 100 ounces for today. And I have been so dehydrated. I have been neglecting my water. I've been neglecting my body that way. And today is a new day. So if you hear me drinking water, that's because I am working on 85 ounces when I finish this cup. And then I only have 15 ounces left. And that's going to be great because I have been peeing all day. Of course, I got my crystals here. I need to get a new sage bundle, y'all. My sage is like super small. Excuse me. My last drink of water went down the wrong pipe. So it's a gorgeous day here in Eugene, Oregon. The sun is shining. The sky is blue. I haven't seen any chemtrails, so that's fantastic. The allergies are high because of the grass, and it's interesting. My peak allergy season is right now with the grass. The flowers, not so much. It's the grass. And sometimes I have to stay indoors. I can't even go out. And my allergy medicine, I use the Walmart version of Claritin D. It works just so much better for me than Claritin D. I don't know why. Maybe it's just my body. But I need the decongestant because I have super small ears. My ears they haven't grown since I was 9 years old. So I have super small ears and I have super small tubes in my ears. I used to get ear infections all the time. So anyways, when allergies happen, I can't just take an antihistamine because then I get so blocked up that I don't drain properly because of my tubes in my ears. And so I need a decongestant. So it just helps. And so I guess here in Oregon, you have to have a doctor's prescription for my Equate Allergy D. So anyways, that was a fun little allergy story. Thanks for traveling down that path with me. Let's go ahead and skip on back to the main trail and why we're here today. I have been doing quite a bit of research, unbeknownst to you out there, my beautiful rising humans who follow me through my social medias. I have been getting a lot of information just by posting and being me, and I've realized how important and how needed sexual alchemy, deja vu. I've been having so much deja vu lately. To me, side note, deja vu means that I'm in the right place at the right time doing the right things. And I'm here doing my podcast with you, and I love all of you. I love this podcast, which is another reason why this big announcement is coming up a little bit later. But let's get back to the purpose of the Rising Goddess movement. I made a post about sexy today, and not one part of that was about the physical aspect of my body. And of course, when people first think of sexy, they think of sex, the core word, right? Unfortunately, there's such a skewed perception out there that is filtered and tainted through shame classes. So the word sexy is, I don't want to use the word perverted. I don't like that word, but the word sexy is just completely coming through, and the understanding of it is coming through the shame glasses, right? The perspective through shame, the shame filter. And so there's this misconception on what sexy is. Sexy for many people is an external physical source, when ultimately sexy is just a word, and it's ultimately down to a vibration. Everything comes down to a vibration, right? We are vibrational beings, energetic beings living a human existence. So when we die, we transition, we transmute from this particular 3D of time and space human self, and then we transmute back into energy and go into a different dimension. At least that's what's in my head. That's what I believe at this moment in time. So, sexy is a vibration, right? Happy is a vibration. Gratitude is a vibration. Sensual is a vibration, right? Sensual is a word that a lot of people have a hard time with connecting and resonating with, because it's this like misconception that sensual, just as the same as intimate, has to be about sex. And it can be. Sensuality can lead to sexual experiences, and intimacy can lead to sexual experiences as well, but that doesn't mean it has to. You can have an intimate conversation and communicative relationship with a very close friend. You can have an intimate relationship with your child, but that doesn't necessarily mean that intimacy leads into a romanticism, which can ultimately guide into sexual experiences, right? So part of the Rising Goddess movement is really learning intimacy communication, how to have a conversation with loved ones, be able to communicate from a place of grounded authenticity and genuine love, and not codependency and masked through fears, right? In the victim mindset, in the victim mode, right? When you can tell when someone's in a victim mode, when their perspective is still latent through the patriarchal conditioning and the programming of what it is that they're here to do, that, when they're still asleep, right? In their victim mode, then they come at you, right? People come at you. And when you are conscious and aware that you are experiencing an emotion that is triggered from an external source, A, you can turn internally, but B, you can bring this conversation to someone and have a conscious conversation, which definitely head over to that episode if you haven't heard Conscious Conversation, the one that I did before. It's a great way to communicate with your partner or friend. It's really, I think, basically the whole episode is really more towards your partner. But you can utilize the techniques for any sort of conversation, whether that be with a boss or a child or a friend or whatever. So is social deprogramming, spiritual deconditioning, religious deconditioning, and spiritual alignment. All of this is critical and coincides and lines up with our sexuality. As women, our moon cycles are a direct reflection and connection of our sexuality and our sexual relationships within ourselves, right? When we first begin our relationship with our cycle, it's like we hear about it. First of all, all of us growing up, at least from my time, right? I'll be 40 this year. And so all of us growing up, when we were when we heard about our periods, it was like, oh my God, Aunt Flo's coming, or like the monster, Shark Week, Hell Week, and it's all these terrible things and cramps, and it's like you're going to hate it, and you're just going to hate being a woman, you're going to hate this, and all these things. And so it's this built up negative, preconceived, conditional, societal conditioning, programming perspective that we go into. And so our relationship with the most magical part of ourselves, especially as women, is tainted with this toxic vibration of shame and disempowerment. And so we begin our sexual experiences, our sexual relationship with ourself, with our body from that state. So, and this doesn't even mention any sort of sexual trauma anytime before that, whether a child with molestation or rape experiences that have happened, or even emotional sexual abuse, like emotionally being taunted or just all of the abuses before that. Any sort of abuse is a form of shame, and that puts us into a place of protection. A lot of people, this transitions really ultimately into a lot of sexual trauma. I work with women and men who have had sexual trauma. A lot of women come to me, a lot more women than men at this moment in time, but a lot of women come to me and talk about how they can't orgasm. They're having a hard time orgasming, or they just plainly can't orgasm. They'll try and it just doesn't happen. And then they start to feel shame about that. And then their partner feels shameful. And then it goes into this cycle, and then they get into a fight. And then it's just this cycle of shame because they can't orgasm. And then when we go through sessions, come to find out some abuse or sexual trauma has happened. And as women, when something is taken from us, a control which is deeper than just the experience that has happened in your life, but in a deeper cellular ingrained space, in the vibrations, like the core, the base vibrations, the ancestral ancient vibrations that run through us, right? These fibers that are still connected. We have these traumas, and we protect ourselves, and we get this belief, this ingrained into our system, this shame, that we're not worthy of pleasure. And because we're not worthy of pleasure, and this isn't a conscious thing that happens, this is a deep-rooted, deep-seated, subconscious thing that happens when we have a sexual trauma. It goes into this filing cabinet, and this filing cabinet holds all of the things that incorporate and access and contribute to shame within us, right? And so this sexual trauma that happens, this creates this shame, and when we are feeling shame, we feel undeserving, we feel unworthy. So then therefore we are feeling unworthy of pleasure. Now, as humans, especially as women, we were given the pleasure of orgasms. That was the gift we were given as a human manifesting into this 3D world. We were able to feel our senses. We came here for the senses. We are sexual beings. This is why we came into this. So when we are going through a place, then when we have this shame and we are going through this unworthiness, we don't feel worthy of having pleasure. So then therefore, when it's time for us to feel comfortable with somebody, with a particular partner, then we try to relax and actually have orgasms. The subconscious, the ego, what should you call it? The venomous fibers that pull down come through and they stop us, right? They stop us from experiencing pleasure. And so then they think that they're doing it to protect us, right? Because if there's sexual trauma, and then let's say you have an orgasm through this sexual trauma, then there's even more shame that's happening because your body is feeling these sensory pleasures, but yet it's you're not understanding what's happening. Right. And so then there's this contrast there. There's this confliction there that it happens. And then that can cause you to not want to orgasm, right? In an unconscious way. You consciously want to experience this. You're in love with this person, or you're, having a great relationship with this person. At least you're having fun with this person. You trust this person to have a sexual relationship with them. And you want to experience and enjoy yourself, but this subconscious belief and block is happening. So then therefore it manifests itself through not being able to orgasm. And so sexual transmutation, shame transmutation, it is so important. And that is why the Rising Goddess movement is so important. That is why the radio show is so important. That is why working with me one-on-one is so important. The work that we do, the shadow work that we do, is quantifiably healing not only you, but the collective. And so it's so important to have all of this right now, because there's so many responses, especially with us being in the lifestyle, with us being in a consensual, non-monogamous relationship, marriage, we meet quite a few people, and there's quite a few people out there that have this perspective of sex that is still based around so much toxicity. And so it's really important that we really shift the perspective of sex, the sex industry, and the fact that as humans living in this 3D world, we came here to physically manifest and create. And that included experiencing all of the senses. And that also included the experience of the pleasure of these senses. We didn't come to this world born into sin. We came into this world authentic, genuine, aligned, and then we were bombarded and told how we were supposed to live. We were told who we were. We were told what we were supposed to do. And all of these things happened while our brains were still such a sponge, and a moldable sponge. It's just gathering all of these things. And so everybody, the people we love the most, are telling us who we are, why we are, and what we are. And if some of those people are causing this confusion and confliction with trauma with it, then of course that is going to also cause this protection within yourself, and you're not going to allow yourself to have pleasure. Social deprogramming is critical for our sexual health. And it's critical to have a sexually healthy, balanced relationship with yourself and with partners out there, because then we won't be manifesting so many sexually transmitted diseases. We would have honor for ourselves. We would have respect for everything that is happening. Right? We would take care of the relationships. Instead, right now, there's so much repression out there. There's so much shame that's going on, and it has to change, because that's what keeps us in this cycle. That's what keeps us controllable. When we rise up in our sexual empowerment, we are truthful, we are honest, we are rising up. And it's just so fitting in Pride Month that this is happening, and that all of this is expansive, and that this is becoming aware, and that the Rising Goddess movement is really, really diving in to the sexual healing and changing the world and awakening the collective through sex. And removing the fears and the conditioning of religious programming, indoctrination. There's so much fear. There's so many lies. There's so much led astray When you are told that you do not know what's best for you, but you must follow another human who's telling you what is best for you because that other human is the only one that can communicate with the divine source, then that is something that needs to be addressed. When you are in a space that is telling you that for you to go to this particular place of pure utopian vibrational in life, that you must do and follow these rules, which ultimately are judgmental and criticizing and full of hypocrisy, then there is deconditioning that needs to be done because you are not living your truth. You are not listening to yourself. You're not trusting your body. And then here we go back around again and learning. And part of what the Rising Goddess movement is loving your body, learning the language of your body. And so here on the show, that's what we really want to expand and do, right? In the Rising Goddess group, in the entire movement, we want to show the fact. We want to what's the word? Not show, embody, right? We want to embody the magnificent, miraculous magic that is our healthy sexual relationships and connections and communications with other humans who we came here to co-create with. And we're in such a fucked up state, right? We see this. Down with the patriarchy. Yes, down with the fucking patriarchy. But you cannot take down the fucking patriarchy if you are still living within the patriarchal conditioning. Ooh. That was sexy in and of itself right there. So, here's the announcement. Rising Goddess Radio wants to continue and wants to provide so much for you. And for Rising Goddess Radio to be able to continue to provide awakening, aligned, magical, mystical, miraculous, resonating magic to you, then we want to create a community of supporters who are fully invested in the growth and the awakening and the rising movement of the Rising Goddess movement. The Rising Goddess movement is not just for women. The Rising Goddess movement is aligning and allowing the feminine within all to rise through and come through and help heal. It takes the feminine to heal and do the shadow work. The shadow work is what needs to be done, and the feminine must do that. And the healing and the transmutation through sexual orgasmic magic and energy is such a powerful, quantifiable experience. And so, the Rising Goddess movement now has Patreon memberships. We have launched our Patreon. There's multiple different tiers that you can go there and check it out. There's a tier that is just a couple dollars that is just you supporting Rising Goddess Radio to continue to get the word and the message out, to just support the movement, support the love that you have for this message that is happening. The Rising Goddess movement is not for adults. It's not for kids. It's for all rising humans. The Rising Goddess movement is rising the feminine within. It's healing the feminine and it's healing the masculine. It's supporting and flowing and cleansing. And it's within all of us. It's helping dismantle the patriarchy, toxic bullshit within our own vibrational temples, ourselves. And as we dismantle, deprogram, and decondition, right, all of these lies that we have been told that are about us, all of these things that we are told that who we are, why we are, and what we're supposed to do, that don't resonate with the magic of who we are and the desires that run through us. So if you support this for all humans, to allow children to rise up into truth, to speak their truth, to stay and live in the imagination that creates worlds. If you support that, then come check out our Patreon. There's thank you support, there's some gift support, there's opportunities and different tiers that where we offer a cannabis session where we just hang around and chat and talk all sorts of spiritual stuff, and we smoke and connect, and you can ask me questions, right? Then we also have a tier where we can do one-on-one work. We also have a tier where one of you can have a call where you can get a call. We also have a tier where once we hit our goal, then we get to, every month we get to, I get to interview one of you as my Patreon members. We have investor options, right? Where you are a part of Rising Goddess Movement Investor. You are a part of the movement that is awakening the human collective through sexual shame, transmutation, and rising in personal and spiritual alignment and empowerment. And then we also have our adventures in swinging. Yes, we have a tier where we are going to be sharing all of our adventures in our consensual, open, non-monogamous marriage, and how we were able to transition from being monogamous into non-monogamy, being together in this relationship 18 years, how we can express ourselves, how we do it daily, how we work through things, steamy stories, sexy pictures, and all sorts of super, super fun. There is a tier for our Patreon on that as well, because the Rising Goddess movement is about all rising. It is about all rising. It is not gender. It is not sexual orientation. It is about the experience. And yeah, this is our fun. This is what we do. This is part of who we are. And there's a lot of curiosity out there, a lot of curiosity on how somebody or couple can be in a monogamous relationship for so long, and how can they transition? How do they communicate through the jealousy? How do they communicate through the fears? These are all things that we're going to talk about on our Patreon channel in that specific Patreon membership. So head on over to the Rising Goddess Movement. Find us on Patreon, the Rising Goddess Movement, and check out the tiers and come support the Rising Goddess Movement so we can continue Rising Goddess Radio. We can continue to get out there. We can continue to make change in this world one person at a time. We can continue to learn how to communicate with ourselves, with our bodies, with our spirit, with our other humans, our spouses, our partners, our children. We can show our children how they can rise up and create a world that is based off of authenticity, true, genuine love, tolerance, and openness and unity, and how they can really create the world that is what we desire to have, and really showing our children that, and this is for some adults out there, y'all, our children know what the fuck is up. We are not raising kids. We are raising humans. And humans that age. And look, I'm about to be 40, but I feel like I'm 20. So adult a schmolt. Or whatever the fuck ever. So it's time. The movement is growing. The movement is expanding, and the movement is calling you. And if you want to be a part of this movement and support Rising Goddess Radio, definitely head on over to Patreon, search the Rising Goddess Movement, check out the different tiers, and let's continue to awaken the collective through sex. So also head on over to the Rising Goddess group on Facebook and the Rising Goddess group for Rising Humans. I'm growing this. This is for all genders. The Rising Goddess group for Rising Humans. This is a community of growing, and it's a safe space, a non-judgmental space, and it's really all about energetic clearing, connection, fun, magic, and uniting and integrating back into love from separation. So head on over there, head to Instagram, follow me at the Rising Goddess _ that is at the Rising Goddess _ definitely head on over to YouTube as well. There's some fun tarot stuff that's going to be coming out. That's, I believe, the Rising Goddess Movement over on YouTube. So head on over there, subscribe. The goal is to get 1,000 subs and 4,000 watched hours as soon as possible. So I'm going to be popping some videos over there. I am going to be doing more radio shows as our Patreon membership grows. The show needs to be supported, and the movement needs your help and wants your help. And it's such an exciting time right now. It's time. It really is. So come on, find me, come connect with me, send me a message, send me love. I love you too. And yeah, I will catch y'all on the next episode. Later.